Yo, what's up guys? Bajheera here, bringing you another update for our 0.5 patch of Path of Exile 2 Warrior, who is now a Titan, Supercharged slamming, popping off pretty good, man. Popping off pretty good. So, a couple big adjustments for this setup here is that we've changed a little bit of our gear around, we've changed a little bit of our skills around, we changed our anoint around a little bit so that we can actually switch into going fire damage a little bit more. Fire damage is usually a pretty, like, you know, normal switch for a late game Titan. And one of the really fun things that this allows us to do for our slamming is pop Ancestral Cry and go Super Saiyan mode and have all of our attacks be empowered, which lets you use Fist of War 3. So that during your super cooldown mode, your attacks are dealing more damage and having an insane amount more AoE. So we're consuming endurance charges to make this thing last as long as possible. Leap slamming around the maps whenever there's strong enemies, we just bonk them with the supercharged slam. Fire, cataclysmic eruption goes all over the place, and everything dies. It's pretty freaking awesome. Does just fine against the pinnacle bosses we've been fighting. Definitely handles business in maps. You know, and I'm talking about, like, you know, Delirious maps, fully juiced T15s, T16s would be fine too. Those are just more annoying to roll, so I haven't been running those as frequently. But it's a lot of fun. My resistances are a little bit tighter. We don't really love Ellie weakness with this build, but swapping into fire damage does sacrifice a little bit of defense. You don't life leech off of physical damage because you don't deal physical damage. You don't really break armor anymore because you're not dealing physical damage to break armor. So, as a result, you're pretty much just trying to do fire damage and heal off of things like cannibalism and good old life regen, and the really juicy life regen when you land in leap slam. So you're trading a little bit of defense for offense, but certainly don't feel too squishy with this one. And it definitely keeps things going a little bit faster, because when you're fighting Delirious maps as just physical damage, you're very tanky, but definitely ends up being a little bit slower. So I wanted to find something with a little bit more speed that keeps our defenses intact, and this is what we arrived at. So let me show you a little bit about the talent tree, because I don't think very much has changed on the talent tree, all things considered. But we can go through it a little bit. Still playing Titan, still rocking good old hulking form, giving you the extra inventory slot people ask about too. The little bit of strength is definitely nice for letting us use the two-hander and a shield combo with Giant's Blood. So we're regenerating some life and getting more life. We are getting armor, and then a gigaton of armor from our equipped body armor. That is giving us a massive amount of armor, and we can actually even get more. This armor is a 3k armor chest piece, which is great, but chest pieces definitely can go to like 3300 armor, and about every 100 armor on your chest piece is like 1000 armor on your character, so you can keep that in mind. The scaling is pretty good. So our points are getting a little tight. But I guess right here, this is also what I'm anointing for. This gives you charges that are determined by the stat requirement on the skills you have socketed in. So this is mostly going to give me endurance charges, which is great. Lets me have enough endurance charges to pop Ancestral Cry for a long time. But periodically it also gives us frenzy charges and power charges, which with one of the auras we're using, we can talk about momentarily. This is going to give me armor to help mitigate the armor that we're losing from not breaking armor with scavenge plating. But it also gives me 24% skill speed, which is insane. That is super, super nice. Feels really, really good. It does consume one of each charge every 12.4 seconds, so, you know, sometimes you'll proc a frenzy charge and it'll get consumed instantly. But for a period of time, you might have some frenzy charge, and that feels pretty good. The main thing is, this is allowing us to have armor up frequently, like all the time. And we have the charges we need to pop a really long duration Ancestral Cry, which is great. So we're going for a little bit of strength, because we need as much strength as we can get. You'll notice that I have exactly 489 strength right now, which is exactly the amount of strength I need to equip my two-hander. So we are very tight on stats on this current setup, but that's okay. We have armor from body armor, and then we get strength here. And then we go through the strength up top just to make sure we have enough points for everything. I'm still using the two-handed weapon damage, the amplifications here, and the AoE here. We're grabbing some strength here. We're also defending against crits, which is great. We have a ton of strength in the beef wheel. I'm getting a little bit of AoE and Aftershock AoE as well. I have a time lost ruby here that's giving me really all that's doing is giving us increased effective small passive skills in the radius, and the small passives give us 3% armor, but that's amplified by the jewel itself and my Titan passive, so we're actually getting 5% armor off of all of these nodes, which is great. The bleeding duration is pretty irrelevant, but that's okay. Just wanted to get a cheap jewel that gave me the stuff that I needed. So this is buffing up the strength of these, and it's also buffing up the strength of these. So these are 12, they go to 7. Well, I mean, they're usually 8, but because of Titan, they're 12, and then it goes to 13, and then this one goes to 8 as well. Armor and stun threshold are fine. I'm also even taking the reduced potency of slowing debuffs, because it's just so annoying to get slowed. So it gives me armor and big slowing reduction. Eventually, maybe we can get over this, but it's just too nice not to have it right now. So we can do that. Going down through the strength, I am using my second set, which is my Warcry set, to give me Warcry speed is what I mostly want here. The recovery rate is kind of whatever. Nothing really has a cooldown on it when it comes to shouts. But the Warcry speed is great, and then increased damage for each Warcry I used recently. I think that snapshots. So you use it, and then you have the buff even when you swap out. So that's what I'm hoping, at least. Let me come over here and grab some big attack damage. These are 20% each, which is wild. And then we grab this one. It's reduced attack speed, but big attack damage, so something to consider. If I wanted to move this somewhere else, we could, but again, I'm trying to get as much juice out of this time lost ruby, giving me a bunch of armor. Using that as much as possible. Then we're coming over here. In terms of my actual damage set, that's the red set, by the way. There's like damage, and then there's war cries, so attacks and war cries. This is the attack set. We're doing stun buildup and damage for empowered, ancestrally boosted attacks, that is. And then we have ancestrally boosted attacks and more damage. And then we also just come over here really quickly for the AoE one. Now that I have enough points, we can do the 30% increase AoE on ancestrally boosted attacks, which during my Warcry Super Saiyan mode, that's an immense amount of AoE on every attack, which is awesome. Especially because the effect of Ancestral Boost is doubled with the Fist of War 3, which is what we have socketed into Leap Slam and Supercharged Slam, which is sweet. We've also got enough juice to get our minimum Warcry power, which I recommend first. That lets you get rage off of your Warcries, which is awesome. Just pressing them normally gives you rage. But then I got a couple more levels so we could get this as well. It has a chance to empower 3 additional attacks, which just feels really nice. I have a Heart of the Well jewel up here, giving me a little bit of max res and armor from equipped body armor, which is sweet. We don't need to recover mana on kill, but this was pretty inexpensive to get a bunch of max res and armor, so that was cool. Then we're grabbing Blood Magic so that we have no life cost at all, or sorry, that we have no mana cost at all, it's just life, which lets us recover our Ancestral Cry cooldown much more quickly, because I have a support gem in there, which I can show you, called Zerfie's Infamy, which gives you, like, glory whenever you spend life on skills. So, when I Leap Slam, you'll see how much glory I'm getting every time. It's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Leap Slams, and I get my cooldown back. And then I can also just spam this Warcry. I don't know if you're supposed to be able to do this, but I spam that Warcry and it also spends life. So then your cooldowns come back up pretty quick. It's awesome. And then for my Warcry set, I pop over here to grab Warcry Speed, and Warcry Speed. Because of Titan, these little small passives give you about as much as the big passive, which is pretty funny. And AoE on the shout, too. So, if we didn't mention, we grab some armor here, and then 5% of physical damage recouped, which is great. We're grabbing a ton of strength here because we need it. And since we have so much strength, we may as well grab brute strength, which just gives it's like a 30% damage node. It is not much, but 1 point for 30% damage I think is probably fine. Grab Giant's Blood so I can use my 2-handed mace and a shield at the same time, so for big damage and big defense. Going here for the Warcry stuff, more armor, because now we have another Time Lost Ruby that does kind of the same thing. It buffs the effect of the small passive nodes, and it gives me armor. Flammability magnitude is kind of whatever, but like I said, I wanted the main thing I wanted there was armor and increased effect of small passives. Buffing the radius to large is, I think, important here and here. It's not important here, but we'll talk about that. So, we're getting the Warcry Speed and recover percent life and Warcry Speed, which is great. Now I'm getting some armor to Ellie here. I think we did drop the armor to Ellie here, but this is armor and armor to Ellie here. and it's in the node, so it gives me an immense amount of armor. 21% armor per node here, which is great. And then 25% armor and armor to Ellie here, which is nice. Then we go up here. The rage right here is just mostly, again, to get something that's useful in this little radius. What I could consider is, instead of the rage, which is still nice, what we could consider is doing some kind of armor break thing, but I'm just not breaking armor right now, so I'm not worried about it. Breaking armor at some point could be kind of cool, but this is fine. This just gives me damage and armor. And then here's some of the crazy stuff that you do right here. So I love a nice tanky helmet, but what we're doing at the moment is we're using Constricting Command. I found a bunch of these, and I was able to get one of the Corrupted 2 sockets, which is awesome. And it requires 4 fewer enemies to be surrounded. So when one enemy is near you, you count as surrounded, which means that you gain access to all of these absolutely insane talent nodes, right? So you get attack damage while surrounded, attack damage while surrounded, attack damage while surrounded, and then armor while surrounded. You have armor while surrounded, armor and while surrounded. It's armor and evasion, by the way, but yeah, you get all of this attack damage and armor while surrounded. You have stun threshold and block chance while surrounded, and you also have 100% increased attack damage while surrounded, well, 30% accuracy, but that's okay. You can also get movement speed, but I haven't done that one. So all of these are getting buffed by the Time Lost Ruby, and all of these are getting buffed by Titan. So every node that you click is 41% increased attack damage, and this helps a lot because it's just so densely packed with insane stats that it's kind of helping me mitigate the fact that I have to use my tree for so much of my strength just to make the thing work. So I come down here, and since we do have some evasion, and my evasion is getting buffed when surrounded, I did go ahead and click all evasion rating to armor conversion. It's one node, it does give you a good amount of armor, so I clicked it. Now I do have to come down here for all the attributes and the percent attributes, because like I said, we're very thin on attributes right now. I have the exact amount that I need for my dexterity requirement auras and the exact amount I need for my weapons, so it's pretty tight. But here you do not need a large radius, so what I have here is armor, percent increase of small passive skills, but also increased damage on empowered attacks, and the notables give increased skill effect duration, so it does buff my Warcry, which is kind of cool. Not insane, but not too bad. So these give you armor while surrounded, attack damage while surrounded, attack damage while surrounded, evasion rating while surrounded, which is not essential, but it does benefit me in some way. And more evasion rating while surrounded, armor while surrounded, and then AoE when surrounded, and attack speed when it's surrounded. So as long as I have one enemy near me, I'm benefiting from both of those things like absolute crazy. So that's kind of the setup for the talents right now. Just enough strength to get me to wear my gear and use my skills, and then have a ton of buff while surrounded kind of stuff. So for the actual skill gems themselves, again, I don't really use the Mace Strikes. I just have them holding gems, so don't worry about that too much. Ancestral Cry is a big one, though. We're using Ancestral Cry. You can see this thing gets buffed up. If you don't know, Ancestral Cry does convert all your damage to fire. You kind of like sploot around little slams when you walk. But the main thing that I like about it is it just makes all of your attacks ancestrally boosted for like mega damage. So it does increase my damage a little bit. All my damage goes to fire, so you lose some of the physical benefits of damage like leeching and breaking armor, but it's okay. So we make it last a long time, make it last even longer sometimes, make it have a little bit of AoE just because why not, and Zerfi's Infamy makes it so that you spend life to generate glory. And so what this means is having a bunch of plus skills along with blood magic means you're spending an immense amount of life. The more skill levels things have, the more life they spend. So it does kind of chunk my life when I use Leap Slam, which is a little bit scary, but we could work on getting better regen somehow too. That's fine, but yeah, Ancestral Cry is the big addition here. You kind of go Super Saiyan and all of your skills get boostified, which is awesome. So very, very neat. What we have here is Supercharged Slam. So this one is not necessary. I just found it. It's apparently a pretty expensive gem, so I could sell this for like 30, 40 divines, I think. So if I wanted to buy a better weapon, this is one of those things that we could do to change things up. But it is kind of cool. It gives you AoE in general, but also whenever you're only fighting one enemy, like a boss or whatever, you do deal 20% more damage to it. So it's an AoE gem with some free single target, basically, which is really cool. So we could use this, or we could always just throw on you know, Burgeon, if you don't have that one. I think I put Burgeon back away. Any of those damage gems is fine, but this one I think is pretty cool for Supercharged Slam in particular. It makes it so that skills deal 20% more damage per second spent chilling up to 40%, so it's like 1, 2, I mean, like, you're definitely getting a full 40% damage boost. But, you know, AoE is cool. I think this is a neat one to try out, but it definitely it's not necessary. And like I said, I might just sell this and then see if I can buy, like, a really good weapon would be awesome. Rage Forge is excellent, spending some rage. You're usually shouting before you use it anyway, so you have some rage to blast, which is great. Then you have Aftershock. A chance to cause an Aftershock is this 35% chance to do, you know, double damage, and all those Aftershocks are hitting really freaking hard at the end of it all, so... Let's see, what's our chance Aftershock? 57%? Not too bad. Not too bad, not too bad. We have Heavy Swing. It makes it cast a little bit more slowly, but does more damage, and then Fist of War 3 is... It's not going to help you that much when you don't have the Ancestral boost, but you're Ancestrally boosted frequently, and that definitely cranks. The fact that it has double effect on supported skills is wild, so it's massive AoE, massive damage. Really, really cool. One of the things about Supercharged Slam, it says that the skill has its own attack time, which is not affected by your weapon's attack speed and cannot be modified. It absolutely can. Like, your skill speed does matter. Attack time is 1 second right there. If they go Heavy Swing, attack time comes down to less than 1 second. So it definitely matters. The skill speed matters. Maybe attack speed on your weapon doesn't matter, but no, it definitely can be modified. So, yeah. That's just kind of something to think about. Leap Slam, right now I'm actually letting Leap Slam rip, dude. I'm letting it do damage. So I take off a lot of the reduced damage things I used to use when I was focusing on Bone Shatter more. And I'm just letting Leap Slam kill stuff. So Rapid Attacks 2 has attack speed. Magnified Area has AoE. Momentum means that when you at least travel 2 meters, which you usually do, you'll land and it'll hit for 40% increased damage. If you wanted to, you could do something else that does like a little bit less damage, but Momentum is a really nice one for any kind of movement skill that you want to deal damage with, like Stampede. I do Fist of War 3 on this bad boy too, so that when you pop off and go Super Saiyan, you are doing massive AoE and big damage, which is great. And Holy Descent is huge for just anytime you're battling and you're just plopping this Holy Descent on the ground, it's just buffing your regen to 5% of your HP per second or whatever, which is pretty freaking nice. Consecrated Ground gives you a bunch of healing and curse reduction too, which is awesome. So for my other war cries, Infernal Cry and Seismic Cry, the same thing. They both have a chance not to count attacks when you use them, not to count against your Empower stacks, which is great. Raging Cry gives you Rage. Magnified Area buffs the AoE, so it can count more power. And Enraged Warcry spends the cooldown to get more rage, but for some reason I feel like I can spam Seismic Cry, and you can't usually do that, but it's kind of nice right now, because you can get your cooldowns up really quick and max out your rage, so I'm not sure what's up with that, but I'm not mad about it. I mean, you can frequently, like, bypass the cooldown of this too, but eventually you lose rage. This one seems to be giving me more rage. So I'm not sure if it's, like, counting the power of, like, NPCs or, like, I don't know what's going on. But either way, Seismic Cry seems to be spammable right now. Enjoy it while you can. So I'm trying out Refutation. I don't think Refutation is as good when I have a shield, but it might be something that gives you a bigger defensive benefit when you have no shield on. But I do feel like I kind of get crushed when I don't have a shield on. I did, like, one map with 2 weapons on, and it did not feel nearly as good. But Refutation is one of those things that you can use to give you block from all directions and inflict parried to block enemies. Parried is a massive damage increase, by the way. So parry debuff makes targets take 50% more attack damage. So using this on a boss and having them just tap you with one of their mechanics makes them take 50% more attack damage. Like, more. That's absurd. So having this is definitely nice. You just gotta watch out for the fact that when you get heavy stunned, that can happen. So not usually. But if you try to use it against a pack of like 120 mobs, you can get heavy stun, so heads up. But I do have prolonged duration on it, I have rapid casting on it, I have mobility on it, and I have cooldown recovery on it. So it lasts longer, it casts faster, you can move, while casting it more easily. So you just pop that, and then you parry somebody, and then they go the most damage in the universe. Then it cools down a little bit faster too. So it's only a 7.9 or 8 second cooldown. So I still have Bone Shatter for now, because I just love Bone Shatter. I just can't really live without it. Impact Shockwave, Heft, Heavy Swing. What's up, Kurt? I'm recording it for you right now, bro. I'm recording it for you right now. Pretty cool, huh? So, Ancestral Call. I'm using on this one, because this is ancestrally boosted. So, I mean, that means that your Bone Shatters will smack during your cooldown. I think it might only be slams, but Still, I use Ancestral Call for Bone Shatter and then Magnified Area. You don't really need Bone Shatter. It's just such a fun skill to use. And things do get primed for stun. When you're leaping, sometimes they don't die. They're foolish decision not to die, so you just go pow and smack them into the next universe, which is great. So this build does have a lot of actives, right? So you have like this one that you have to press. You have your Super Saiyan cooldown, Ancestral Cry you have to press, but I also have War Banner. War Banner is giving me more damage, more attack speed, more accuracy, and it is up very frequently because you build glory with War Banner just by attacking mobs. So you plop down your War Banner, and you have like this gigantic area where you're doing giga damage, hitting frequently, and hitting fast, and it just feels really good. So I have this lasting longer, giving me a bigger AoE, giving me an even bigger AoE with Expanse, and then also Doresso's Passion makes it so that you can use it very frequently. Supported skills require 50% less glory to use, so when you're fighting, you can pop your War Banner, like, on cooldown. It has no cooldown, but I give it a cooldown, but I don't even really see the cooldown, so I don't even know if this is working, but it feels like it does. It feels like it's giving a big AoE, which is nice, so. But Doresso's Passion is excellent. I cannot imagine this thing is expensive, but it's very nice to have. It's in one of those lineage supports. And then Charge Regulation. This is a big one. This is what I was talking about earlier, where Endurance charges, Frenzy charges, Power charges, they don't usually do anything on their own, but they do now. So it gives you armor, evasion too, even though it's converted to armor. When you have an endurance charge, and then skill speed, you have a frenzy charge. Those are the big ones. More crit chance is okay too, but those are the big ones for me. So that's really, really nice. And that's my whole setup right now. It does require a little bit of extra spirit. So if you don't have the spirit, then maybe you can consider not using one of these supports right here. I use precision for accuracy, vitality 2 for big life regen. I use cool headed for less ignite duration, because ignites hurt so freaking bad now. It's crazy. And then I also use cannibalism because we are not leeching life, but life on kill is very nice to have. But if you don't have the extra 30 spirit or whatever that I have on my necklace, then just don't use cool headed and cannibalism probably, or don't use precision or something like that, right? You might want to use vitality 2 as well, or vitality 1, because that costs 20 less spirit. So there's a lot of things that you can do that if you don't have this much spirit, then you can kind of still use all of this. It's just you need to kind of not use maybe some of the support buffs, because all these buffs are important, I think. These are all very good. The spirit ones are all very good. Charge regulation and warband are excellent. So in terms of the gear itself, I did change my weapon. This weapon was not giga expensive. The thing about weapons is I feel like you do need weapon skills. I bought my other weapon that I was using all the way up until now for 5 divines in the beginning of the league. It was a good one, it just didn't have weapon skill. This one has 4 weapon skill, or 4 melee skills on it, which is a pretty big deal. This one has similar physical DPS to my other one. It does have a little bit less physical DPS, but the actual tooltip is much higher. So let me show you. Where's my other great club? Oh no, I have it up for sale right now. That's what it is. So this is the one I was using before. I don't think it's going to sell for 100 divines, but maybe. We can hope. I don't think so. But Mana Leech is also not important to me anymore. But I kind of want to keep this around just in case I wanted to try two-hander stuff. But I think that two-handers makes you a little too squishy. That's what it felt like to me. But it's like a 900 DPS weapon, and this weapon is lower DPS on the actual stats of the item. But it does make my damage go up quite a bit because of the fact that it has the weapon skills, the melee skills. So when you're ready to get a real weapon, you need to get melee skills on there pretty much. It's just such a big deal, and the fact that it makes your cooldown come back up so much faster for Ancestral Cry is also massive. So you can definitely give up some physical DPS for a weapon that actually gives you melee skills. And this isn't even that good. I mean, I bought this one for 24 divine, which is I think a bit of a good price for what I'm using it for. So I actually do use fire damage. So the fact that the attacks penetrate fire res is a good thing for sure. It looks like I could divine that up a little bit more too, and I could even divine up the physical damage a little bit as well. If I wanted to actually just click divines on this weapon to make it do more damage, we could do that, and I think it would maybe even be worth it. Because everything is like low rolled, so I might actually do that. Just click some divines and see if I can get this thing to go a little bit higher up, because that could be a big deal. 14% more physical damage, 9% more fire damage pen, 2 more attack speed. I mean, that's pretty good, so we could work on that to divine it up. But anyway, it's a relatively good physical damage weapon, like 800 something DPS with stun duration, which I love, attack speed, which I need, attack penetrating fire resistance, which is useful, and then the melee skills, which you need too. So that's my new weapon right there, And again, melee skills just make you do more damage, but also makes you spend more life, which helps you generate glory for your ancestral cry. So that's kind of a big deal. Constricting command is something that, again, this is allowing me to have all of those while surrounded nodes activated, which is very nice. This one corrupted to give me 2 slots, and I have just increased AoE in those. And I have the physical damage in there, iron runes, which are masterworked into perfect iron runes. Chest piece, gigaton of armor is what you're looking for in the chest piece. We have it, gigaton of armor, resists, armor applies to Ellie is lovely. If I had room for strength, that would be good, but I don't right now, so my situation is a little tight on stats, but it's okay. The charm that I'm using gives me spirit, which is pretty fun. A lot of spirit actually is pretty neat for being able to put on all those buffs and stuff. So energy shield I don't love, armor would have been better, but it's okay. Life, melee skills are necessary, all attributes are necessary for me, cold resistance is necessary for me. But yeah, basically like life and melee skills is huge. That's basically what I needed, and then all the other stuff too, the res to match what I needed for resistances and spirit. It's kind of a nice find, so I picked it up. It was the right price, and we threw Thaumaturgic Generator on it for the endurance charge and just charge generation in general. My shield, this is a pretty neat one. The prefixes aren't that insane. The fact that it's like very low life, but what I wanted was armor applies to Ellie, physical damage reduction, and armor applies to chaos. That is what I wanted on there, and that's what we got, so that is pretty darn nice. I do like that a lot. That helps me feel pretty tanky against most things, which is what I wanted a shield for. My ring is a ton of lightning resistance, a little bit of strength, life, but what we still have here is life leech. So this ring is on the chopping block. This would be really nice to have life, strength, maybe a different resist, so that I could then move a resist off of another piece of gear. Or I could like get chaos resist on there, and I could take out the soul cores, and we could do some other kind of like cool stuff like movement speed and like physical damage or something like that. But anyway, we don't need life leech anymore, so that suffix could turn into something else, and that would be fine. This one right here is giving me a bunch of chaos res and life and all res and fire res. Like it's just like a gigantic resistance ring with life and damage. It's pretty nice actually. Accuracy is not useless, and then the resistances are great. But yeah, we could, you know, if we got chaos res here, we could have somehow get like strength on my other ring, which would be also kind of cool. So we could figure things out. But this could become something else, so that something else, another suffix could become strength. And then I would be able to move talent points off of my tree from strength into something like AoE or damage, or just give me some options. Basically, is the progression there. Gloves are a ton of life and resists, and armor applies to Ellie. I want armor applies to Ellie everywhere. I don't have it on my helmet, obviously, anymore, but you just got to make do with what you got. But armor applies to Ellie, and then resists would be great. I mean, gloves are another one of those places that can have melee skills. So, like, getting another resist on here and then freeing up melee skills on gloves would be probably absolutely insane. So, cold resist instead of a life leech, and then that would be really nice to have melee skills there, but that's going to be really expensive. But that's what we're doing right now. We're playing the game, having fun, and farming up so we can get crazy items. So that's another place to get melee skills. Maybe that's the best bet. Instead of strength, we try to get cold res on ring, melee skills on gloves. It'd be insane. So my belt is okay. It only has 1 charm slot, though. It's kind of awkward. I'd like another one. But big armor, big life. Mana flask recovery rate's not necessary anymore, right? So we can change that. But it gives me cold res, a little bit of lightning res, and a bunch of chaos res because it has chaos flat and then the chaos hybrid, which is awesome. I treated myself to some boots. These are not my forever boots, so I did go ahead and try the ward experiment on them. But they have armor life, resist that I need, armor applies to Ellie, which is great, and then 25% movement speed. I mean, obviously you want like giga movement speed on those, but that will definitely do for now. And I did go ahead and take the ward so we could use refutation, and I went ahead and did it on boots because that's just the, you know, that's like the cheapest, least important armor slot for that. So went ahead and did that. For my charms, I actually have some cool ones. I have the golden charm of the bear, which I found, and I have the fall of the axe, which I found. So you gain onslaught, which is attack speed and movement speed when you get slowed, and I hate being slowed. It clears your slow too. So, but I would love one more charm slot so I could have like a freeze immunity would be great. But yeah, my flasks are just recovery gained over time, and a part of recovery applied instantly, so you can spam it, and then we don't need mana anymore, so it's just kind of cosmetic. In terms of my actual Atlas, the good thing about Atlas is you can fill it all in, and I did fill it all in by doing the fortresses. So how you fill this in is you got to go find Matriarch and Patriarch little fortress thingies out on the map, defeat them, and then combine them with the little keys they give you and then go fight the Arbiter of Divinity, and then he gives you a bazillion stat points because you can clear out like an entire segment of the fortress, which is sick. I filled out Ritual so far. I filled out Abyss so far. We're like halfway through a Breach, mostly way through Delirium, and then we haven't started our Temple yet, but we will. Does this show me what I'm doing with these guys? Yeah, this is gonna change, of course, but we gotta go make better friends with Doriani because all we have right now is that. That'd be awesome. Hilda, I have more rare monsters and map monsters or bosses can get upgraded. And increase effective explicit modifiers is crazy, and then rares can turn into bosses, which is nuts. And for Jado, currently I have strong boxes, have a better unique chance, but I'd probably like to change that to something else. When I'm doing more corrupted maps, I do unexpected missions. Cryptic keys. Oh, I wonder if an anomaly map would actually be good instead of strong boxes. Anomaly maps are insane, so that's good. Pinnacle bosses dropping more is interesting. Exceptional those are kind of cool too, actually. Exceptional items do sometimes sell for a good amount, so like if you get like a good spear or something like that, I might just do that. I mean, they're pretty rare, but anomaly maps are kind of rare too. But whatever. Either one of those is fine. I'm trying to give you guys as much information as I can. Maybe too much information. Azamari Blood. This is gonna be freaky. Oh snap! All right, let's go run one of our tier 16 maps here. Let's not bowls it up, boys. Let's not bowls it up, but let's see what we can do. I think all of these are kind of fine. Maybe not to penetrate. Let's try this one. This will be a tier 16 map. Let's just run it, boys. Let's just run it. It could be a big one. It might take a second. I'm gonna take a little drink of water real quick. We gotta focus up for this. This is a big daddy map right here. But we'll leap around. A couple seismic cries. Kind of get your juices flowing. It looks very similar to what we were doing before at this point, right? Kind of jumping around, killing mobs. Then all of a sudden, whoa, Super Saiyan, what the heck is going on? Giddy! And then everything just explodes. And then once you get Super Saiyan rolling, then you can kind of fly around. Unless you don't get stuck on walls and stuff. That's different. But the Demooge, Gidoosh, is pretty nice, huh? Where's the Exile? Come here, buddy. He's freaking out, which is appropriate. So once you actually get in combat, you can throw down your War Banner too, which is again attack speed and damage. So if you can catch these little rascals. He's over here in the corner. I see, sorry. First map of the day, okay? First map of the day. Oh, the other one is a Two of the Ruthless, dude. Is this guy
Weakling.
If this guy is the igniter, then I'm actually terrified. And I'm actually really sad too. I don't think he is though. No, he's just a slammer. We can handle the slammers, I think. Ulfrid. What is he doing? Looked like he was trying to like teleport out. He was like, never mind. I apologize. But I mean, sometimes your buff lasts for a really long time. Like you'll notice, like I still have 30 seconds on this thing, and it comes up pretty quick. And I liked clearing with Bone Shatter, but a lot of times you can just clear with Leaf Slam now. And my banner was down, but now it's back. It's like an 8-second cooldown, which I think is okay. But you'll notice the banner's ready. Like the banner's ready now, and it's halfway through its CD. So I may take the cooldown off of it so I can just keep spamming it. I just want to make sure that I actually am getting the... I mean, what's the banner's duration? I mean, the banner lasts for a while, I think, so... should be okay. I like the AoE on it, but it's not really that important to have the AoE, just because, you know... Boosh! Sometimes we don't need quite that much AoE. But it should be down for a good bit, right? And again, that's giving me accuracy, which is nice to help sort of even out the loss of accuracy for that minus accuracy mega damage node that we take when it's surrounded. Just try not to get by those. I mean, we absolutely can tank the chaos damage, but I just maybe don't want to. Delirium tablet. Yeah, I've been running a lot of Delirium. I didn't do it this time, though. But Delirium is definitely, like, nice. I feel like Delirium makes the maps very interesting and juicy. And arguably should have run one, but we gotta make our decisions in this life. What did I even select? Did I put an Abyss in here, maybe? We put Ritual, Abyss is great. I do like Delirium a lot, though. So then we actually have some mobs to kill, so we pop down our banner, we go Super Saiyan, and then we just blast everything to pieces. Feels pretty good. The idea behind the build is to see if we can make something that felt cool to use with Supercharged Slam, and I think this is like a good option. Again, I feel like the natural progression of Warrior is frequently to get into some kind of fire damage at the end of it all. And so that's kind of what we're doing. I mean, I don't know. We don't need any of these. A natural progression into fire, into Super Saiyan mode. But even without the scavenge plating, without the life leech, it still feels okay to me. And when I'm not Super Saiyan, I mean, we do benefit from life leech there, and we do deal physical damage there. So if you wanted to, you could, like, at some points be breaking armor and some points leeching. But again, I think the idea is to have this have as little cooldown as possible, so you can pop off as frequently as possible going Super Saiyan. Because when you're using Fist of War 3, that is the time where, like, you know, outside of Fist of War, your slams are gonna, like, not really be benefiting as much, right? But yeah, I mean, just kind of just AoE this whole place down. And I think that's really fun. Let's see, we do need to take a quick look at this. It's one of these done being deferred. Okay, and anything neat? I do like this one. It's a cool weapon. I want to do more with it. Yeah, okay. But the king, it has so much attack speed on it, and that one's rolled well. So I got a couple seconds left on our buff. It is gonna fall off here in a minute, but then a couple leap slams and a couple seismic cries, it'll be back up before we know it, right? Just fighting in general, everything that we do costs life, so you know, the leap slams, the bone shatters, everything. So now we're immediately already have our, like, one pack, and then we're back in business, right? And you can still, you know, Infernal Cry if you want to. This would pair up nicely with, like, fissures. It would pair up nicely with like, Crater, right, on your leap slam. But I just like hitting hard with it. I don't necessarily want to do the Fissure play style. But yeah, it's felt pretty good. I don't necessarily want to give up all my defense for offense, but it feels like we're kind of at that point where it's okay to let it rip a little bit. So we have downtime on our shout here. So you just, like, kind of play normally for a second, and then leap around a little bit, and then you're back in business, popping off again. So it is not a long cooldown on that shout at all. And the more, if I had more, like, 3 more melee skills on like, my gloves, something like that, it would be even shorter. Because we would be leaping and doing whatever, and it would cost even more rate, or even more life, because it's a higher melee skill level, right? So, grab this. I wanted to click it, but okay. Just hit the wall. Leap slam for killing stuff does feel pretty chill, though. Clicking the shrine, being scared about it because it makes my HP go down. Oh, what my rite of passage of the bear does, I'll do something similar. It also gives me increased life. It gives me stun threshold, stun build up. Pretty cool. Let's go Super Saiyan on this breach.
Come here.
Popping coolies. So there's a regen reducer in this pile here chasing me around. But even, like, the rares can just die to leap slam too, which is kind of nice. They don't always, but they can. Usually you just kind of find enemies that survive, or you just decide that you want to plant your feet and swing. You put down your parry before you plant your feet, and then just blast. Which I don't think I've pressed my parry button one time this entire dungeon, but Against strong enemies, like bosses and stuff, it's kind of nice, because they get the parry debuff, and 50% more damage taken is kind of absurd. And the power of that buff, I don't really think I need it, or I'm making the best use of it, but like, 50% more damage just for using like a teeny little bit of ward is actually kind of insane. So, when you think about it, banner down, boosh. Completely unnecessary. But it comes back up quick. Xerfes is nice for Ancestral Cry, and then Duresso's is great for this. Because both of them, as a result, are just building glory by just engaging in combat. Like, you don't have to stun anything like Hammer of the Gods. Just spend life and battle. And then just do damage. Hit stuff. And banners back off cooldown, all, like, you know, instantly. Whenever you're fighting. But sometimes, like right now, like the cooldown that it has because of the little AoE, but it has a cooldown gem that I put in there, it's not a big deal. Because we don't have the glory for it anyway. So it just kind of ends up being pretty nice. Sometimes you can get glory up really quick, though. And we're popping off again. Mega AoE on Leap. Mega AoE on our Slam. I don't think that Bone Shatter is mega empowered. But I think it's just slams. But I still think that the empowerment on Bone Shatter is nice. Who got the Wispy Wisp? You did. You. Well, we're level 97 now, guys. Been having a lot of fun with this season, man. And I cannot thank you guys enough for tuning in and supporting the content on Twitch and on YouTube. You guys interacting in the comments and just showing love means a whole lot. Everybody checking in on the updates regularly. You know, it's really, really nice. I know PoE is like a little bit of like a different game than what we are usually kind of like, quote, known for, but it is like absolutely one of my favorite games and my favorite game to log into and play right now. So the fact that we're able to kind of pump out the content for it and you guys are supporting it makes it a consistent thing that we get to do. So I'm loving it. Just so much room for creativity and kind of challenging yourself with like trying out like different ideas of the build, because like I know that this build is not just the strongest build you can play in PoE. I absolutely know that. Oh, ting! Let me get a ting in the chat, in the comments, if you guys are watching this long again. We're on a good streak of getting some tings when we're doing our stream. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I'm gonna need that. Hold up. I'm gonna need that Abyss tablet for show. What can we just yeet on the ground here? Those are kind of nice, though. I don't have any little thingies. All right, whatever. I'm not going back to base right now. We like those perfect jeweler's orbs, though. Popping off. Yup. I'm not ready. He lived. Dude, maybe we do need to. Back to town, man. Too much stuff. The map's too juicy. I think I actually do need to, that reminds me, is tighten up my loot filter a little bit. That could be a good helmet, though, on the ground, but it's okay.
Feel my wrath.
Gotta tighten the loot filter just a little bit. Yeah, I knew it was gonna give me an Abyssal Depths, dude. I knew it. I knew it. Here's what I'll do, is I'm gonna go kill the boss, and I'll do the Abyssal Depths while I'm uploading the video, okay? Because these videos are already so long. They're really fun to make, though, so I'm having a good time with them. And I hope you guys are, too. So bossing with this guy is pretty chill. I might not even have my buff, though, if this thing takes forever. Don't get me with that. We blocked it nice. Speaking of block, yeah, I don't even have my buff, so even without Ancestral Cry, I mean, like, you hit, you know, your Supercharger will hit for, you know, a couple million. Pretty nice. You know, Virizium. I got a lot of Virizium right now. Okay, but that is basically how this thing works, boys. It's a really fun mapper, going Super Saiyan, pressing all your cooldowns. Like, it makes it kind of an active build, but none of the, like, you don't need to be pressing every cooldown constantly. It's just like Banner is sick, Ancestral Cry is kind of the big one that you need to press. Refutation is nice, but it's just like these things buff your damage, but frequently you just kind of leap slam through the map and kill everything anyway. So it ends up being pretty dang chill. But look at this, I have two of these guys now. The Shabuyas! The Shayabas. 117, 119. You can upgrade both of those, and they turn into like a, you know, 600 DPS weapon. You put on 2 of them suckers with 50% increased attack speed each. I mean, you'll be flying around the map. You will be flying. I'm gonna try it. As long as you have on the yarn grapers. I don't know where I put those, but I have a couple pairs of the yarn grapers. So that you just, all you need is, you know, 270 dex. And you're chilling. Which we definitely can get that. Oh, no, sorry, 270 strength and you're chilling. That could be kind of a fun combo. No melee skills, though, so no good, but that's okay. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up the video here. Very excited to continue sharing the updates with you guys. Very excited to hang out with you on stream as well, to keep popping off and farming up this build. So much still to be done, man. So much still to be done. Exploring the map, leveling up our Atlas, and just farming up Insano gear is definitely a lot of fun, and something I look forward to continuing to share the journey of on stream and on video. But for now, let's wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give the video a big old thumbs up if you're enjoying the Supercharged Super Saiyan Slam Titan. See you guys on stream. Peace.